If you lived in the city in 1900, you dreaded the return of summer, with its blazing afternoons and its stifling hot nights with no breeze. You didn't have an electric fan. You'd never seen an electric fan. Like 99% of Americans, you didn't even have electricity. You needed to get out of town. If you were wealthy, the solution was simple: move to your summer home. In New York, society had all gone up to Newport, Rhode Island. That's where you'd find the vacation home of the Astors and both of the Vanderbilt boys. If you weren't wealthy, but simply rich, you might consider summering at a fashionable resort where you could take the waters. Hotel Mudlavia in Indiana offered mineral waters that, they said, could cure rheumatism. The waters of Poland Spring, Maine was good for indigestion. And the sulfurous waters of hot wells in Texas could cure several dozen diseases. Guests would either drink the strong-smelling waters at the spring houses found at every resort, or else bathe in it. If you could afford the best, you'd want to go to Saratoga Springs. Once checked in to the Grand Union Hotel, you'd be among the most famous and fashionable people in America. Saratoga had become famous as one of the first resorts to offer healing mineral water, but it soon attracted crowds of perfectly healthy visitors who could afford to spend the summer in idleness, enjoying the other attractions of Saratoga. If you were neither wealthy nor rich, but a well-paid white-collar breadwinner in the middle class, you might have been able to take your family for the summer to the seashore. Though, as breadwinner, you'd have to remain in the city, presumably to work. Your family could stay at one of the hundreds of summer hotels that lined the shore from New England to the Carolinas. Some were quite luxurious, like Galveston's Beach Hotel, Mackinac Island's Grand Hotel, and the Brighton Beach Hotel. You might have found it cheaper to rent a summer house or a cottage for the season, preferably close enough for you to take the train and spend the weekend with your family. An even less expensive family vacation was possible if you had relatives living on a farm. Wives and children could be sent off to the country, where at least the nights would be cooler. And the kids would be excited to be given farming chores, at least at first. If you were among the 40% of Americans who farmed, you'd have little time and money for a vacation. But you might make an exception to attend a religious camp meeting. Some meetings were held regularly on the same ground, where families kept their own cottages. Other meetings provided tents for the faithful, where they could retire after a day of sermons, hymns, and socializing. If you were an average American in the city, though, you probably had no vacation days. You could be working up to 54 hours a week, which included Saturdays, which left you just one day, Sunday, for a vacation, in which case you might have considered taking the family to a trolley park. Transit companies built these parks at the end of their lines to attract passengers on the weekends. At first, they were simple picnic groves. But then, to entice more passengers, the companies began adding rides and calling them amusement parks. Coney Island in Brooklyn was especially popular. In addition to a beach, it had several popular rides, including the first roller coaster called the Switchback Railway. Over 100 trolley parks were built across America, from Idora Park in Oakland to Detroit's Electric Park, to Cleveland's Euclid Beach and Jacksonville's Dixieland Park. But if you couldn't even afford a day at the park, you still had one last option for getting away and cooling off, with a nickel and an open window on the elevated train. Saturday Evening Post members can explore our 200-year-old archive for only $15 a year. Subscribe today.